I'm trying to figure out the phase of E sub 0. I know it's the sum of VL and VR. So if I have VR going this way and VL going that way, that's my epsilon sub 0 there. What angles do I know? Well, I know that angle right there, that in radians is 1.4787. I know this angle here, which is pi over 6. And I want to really, I need to figure out this angle here. All right, so that angle there is pi over 6. This angle right here
is the complement of that,
complement of
the 1.47 radians.
supplement.
180 minus that?
Pardon?
180 minus that?
Yeah, or
Okay.
pi minus that.
I confused supplement and complement.
Yeah, I might be doing that too, but anyway. So this is, I got a straight angle there, 180 degrees or pi radians, and so it's whatever's left over from this. So that angle there is pi minus that.
1.66289.
Something's off.
Very well.
That 3.04955. That's the VL, not IL.
.092.
Take it out 2 more.
04.
All right, so this total angle here is that plus pi over 6, which is
0.6156.
1 more.
4.
All right. So I now have a triangle here. I know the angle that's opposite epsilon sub naught. I know this is 300. So let's set up the equation. Let's set up a law of cosines here. This law of cosines is appropriate. And I need to erase some stuff. So let's get rid of that. Okay, now let's draw before I erase something else. All right. Law of cosines. I'll start you out. Epsilon sub naught squared equals.
It's been like 5 years.
It hasn't changed.
It's the same as it was 5 years ago.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, it was the same from when I was doing this as a high school student. Well, not physics, but I was doing training. All right, Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Law of cosines is the more generalized form of Pythagorean theorem. So epsilon sub naught squared equals VL squared plus VR squared. So if that angle were 90 degrees, Pythagorean theorem would apply. But it's not Pythagorean theorem, so minus 2 VL VR cosine of that angle, which I'll label as theta 2. Well, I know what epsilon sub naught is, I know what theta 2 is, I just don't know what V's are. So, let's figure out what we do know. I know the voltage of the resistor and the capacitor are the same. So VR and VC are equal to each other. Well, if VR is equal to VC, as is written right there, then IR times R is equal to IC times X sub C. So IC is equal to IR times R over X sub C, which is IR times 150 over 106, 106.1034. So what is that?
Oh, never mind.
1.4137.
Give me one more decimal place.
2.
So now I have a relationship between IC and IR. We can plug that in for this. So this is 300 squared is equal to, oh, that's L. So actually we have to do one more thing here. I know that, got a little right triangle right there that we just dealt with. I know that IR squared plus IC squared is equal to IL squared. I now have IC in terms of IR, so I've got IR squared plus 1.41372 IR squared is equal to IL squared. So IL equals something times IR. What is it?
.41372.
Are you just asking for that squared?
That's
Squared plus 1.
that squared plus 1, and then take the square root.
Oh.
Technically, that squared plus 1 squared.
Got 1.731644.
That what you just said?
Yes.
Okay. Confirmation?
Yeah.
Okay. So that 300 squared is equal to IL
47.
squared, XL squared plus IR squared, R squared minus 2 times IL XL. IR times R, cosine of theta 2. Plug the numbers in that we do know. So I get 300 squared is equal to IL squared, which is 1.731644 squared, IR squared. XL, oh, we didn't actually calculate it, we can do that now. What is XL?
Didn't we already calculate it?
We calculated XC.
Oh, that's the 106 point, okay.
Yeah. XL is the inductive reactance.
Well, that's just 400 times 314.159, right?
I have 125.66. Oh, ohms.
Or Henry radians per second.
Sorry, on the bottom right of the board, What was we set IL to, what was the value we found for that?
1.731644 times IR.
Thank you.
So 125.66 plus IR squared times 150 squared minus 2 times 1.731644 IR times 125.66 times IR times 150 times the cosine of theta 2, which was 0.61564. That's radians.
For the, oh, my mistake.
So I have 3 terms here. Each term has IR squared in it. I got IR squared, and then IR times IR. So I can factor that out. So I'm gonna end up with 90,000 is equal to IR squared times some number after we do all the rest of the math. So that times that plus that's minus that, ignoring the IR. It's a calculator exercise.
Should have probably asked this earlier, but how do we compute VL?
How do we get VL?
Yeah. Like what quantities do we put together to find VL?
We haven't found VL yet.
Oh, then what's the 3.04955?
This is
That's the phase shift.
of
That's
Bell.
the angle is that.
Oh, okay.
Wait, where do we get that 90,000 from?
300 squared.
Okay. I don't know where to start on.
Yeah, this is quite the calculator exercise.
But it is just a calculator exercise. Break it down into pieces if you need to.
Oh,
I got negative 2.901479.
Negative 2.9.
01479.
Anyone else get the same thing? I hope not. Because that'll give us an imaginary current.
is that 150 squared minus 2? Is that a minus? Or
It's
is
minus 2 times this.
Okay.
The 2 is part of this bit.
I don't think I multiplied by, no, I did.
So you take this piece by piece. What is the first one?
I got 376.8029. And then you add that to the 150 squared.
Oh.
IR squared.
Oh, sorry, what was the 376?
Is,
This?
no, it's the 1.73
That- okay.
squared times
This is the first component.
125.
What I gave you is what I got for, yeah, that section that you.
Oh, just this section here.
That is what I got. Yeah, that's just that is what that is.
That seems way too low. Because it's 2 times 1.731644 times 125.66 times 150 times the cosine of 0.61564.
It's being divided by 150.
That's times. This is all, I ran out of room. This is all multiplication.
Okay, well, I divided that.
Okay,
Yeah, I was doing the same thing. I was like, what the fuck?
Okay, that's
So I have
completely
this in
wrong.
radians.
100%.
alright, so the
For
first,
Oh.
alright, so we have,
Alright.
so the first term is 376.8029 plus 150 squared, 22500.
For the last part,
minus,
I got 53,294.4593.
oh, that should be squared.
Which should be
I
squared.
made a mistake, that 125.66. So what did you get for the last term? Sorry.
53,294.4593.
This is whack. Sine of 0.6.
So that first one.
564. Okay, I got negative 65,275.74716 for when you multiply all those together.
Okay, one more time?
Negative 65,275.74716.
I got the exact same number.
This sits 65,000?
Yes.
Yep, negative 65, yeah. But that was before, you said something about the 125 needing to be squared now?
Yeah, so that
Yeah,
first term was
that-
not 376.
That first term is now 47,349.05717.
Okay.
Anybody else get that?
No memento for football.
Alright, so we had two people with the 65,000.
I have
47,
IR
349.
I have, IR is equal to 3.2627.
2627?
Yeah, I don't know how accurate that is, I hope it's accurate, but.
That is not what I had copied.
With the new first component for the everything times IR squared, I got 16,554.5979.
Alright, so let's get,
At this point, we could just be saying any number.
alright, so you
I
have
second that. Yeah.
IR squared is equal to 90,000
That don't feel right.
divided by, what was the number that you had?
16. I got 16,554.597.
16,564 point,
Yeah. Wait.
I
No,
missed something.
16,554.
54.
0.5979. Well, that's what I got.
That would come out to 2.33.
It should be like, if I'm looking at those numbers right, it should be like around like 4,000.
Is that the correct value?
Not 16.
I had around 2.33.
Okay,
Okay.
so what was,
Yay.
yeah, so what was the value for, the 16554.5979, that's the correct
That's what
addition
you
of
had
everything?
for this, when you added up all the.
Everything, okay.
2.33, let's take it out two more. Or,
Oh, 2.3316, amps. Wait, no, that's just the angle.
no, that's current, that's I.
Okay, it's amps.
So we now have a value for one of these, so 2.3316 is my magnitude of I sub R, or amplitude, sorry, amplitude. Magnitude of phasor, amplitude of the function. And then, now that we have I sub R, we can find I sub L and I sub C. Because I have a formula right here for I sub L, and my formula for I sub C is right here. So what do we get for I sub L and I sub C? Okay, first, I sub L, 1.731644 times I sub R.
Uh, 4.0375.
4.0375, which would be the same for the power supply, because this is the same currents. And then I sub C, 1.41372 times I sub R.
3.4347.
4347. All right. So I now have enough information to come up with the 4 equations for my current. The others are just going to fall right into place. We know. All right, well, let's just nail down V sub C and R sub C. I know the magnitude of VR is equal to the current cross there times the resistance. So I sub R times 150 will get us V sub R.
$349.74.
And V sub C is equal to I sub C times X sub C. And I sub C is 3.4347, and X sub C was 106.1034. Bless you.
Thank you.
Oh, I got the same value.
Oh, that makes sense. They're in parallel. And then V sub L, well, I know V sub L